Supercar of the ocean, ultimate tender to your mega yacht, and super efficient, fun, mega awesome day boat. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Koshi 51 GT by Koshi Marine. This thing's incredible. This is a boat that's not just designed to look cool when you rock up at Saint-Tropez. This is a boat that's got hydrodynamics and weight minimization taken to the extreme. And holy frickin' moly, it's a lot of fun to drive, but it's super safe. I've just been driving it all day. You might notice it's really windy. This location that we've stopped in just because it was convenient is actually fully exposed to the wind. But we've been driving in this all day, and this is the most secure I have felt at 85 miles an hour in open water in my life. And it all comes down to the design, the weight reduction, and then the power package. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. And in the next video, for those of you who are interested, I'd really like you to join me for a test drive because it's freaking amazing. This is something you will crave doing during the week. You're going to be at your office just craving to get on the boat. It's kind of like motorbikes and obviously supercars and hypercars. It's that sort of emotional experience, and it's been transferred into a boat. And I'm not surprised because Koshi Marine is a division of the Koshi Group, who have spent the last 20 years developing custom parts for the supercar industry in carbon fiber. So that is literally their speciality, and you can see it when you look in detail on the way this thing's been put together. If you're a carbon fanatic, if you are a weight minimalist and a performance maximalist, you're gonna freaking love this thing. So we're gonna start out the back here because we've got the quad rig 500 race. We're all on jacking plates, and it's been set up for optimized high speeds. Now, when you hear me talking about the high speeds, I also want to sort of qualify a couple of things. I consider this, from what I've just discovered in the day on the boat so far, to be one of the safest super high performance boats that I've ever driven before. I would, provided he's not a little rascal, I would give this to a teenage boy. And I'm not going to say that about a lot of the super high performance boats on my channel. I would give this to a teenage boy and let him drive. No girls, because then he'll get distracted, but I would let him have a drive, and he's not going to cause any trouble, even if he does some silly things that he shouldn't ordinarily do on other boats. It's down to the variable dead rise. If you look at the picture of this thing out of the water, they've actually varied the angle of the dead rise as the hull proceeds up to the gunnels. So when you hook it into a turn, you're actually, rather than having one just crazy deep V angle which kind of wants to flop over and maybe lose a little bit of efficiency, because you've got all these angles, as you're cutting around and going harder and harder and harder at 65 frickin' mile an hour into chop, it just grips and goes and goes and goes and goes. So it's really, really special. The other thing is, when you accelerate this from a standing start, there's zero bow raise on acceleration because of the weight. 2.1 tons is the light ship weight of this hull without the associated equipment, the fuel and the engines. If we're just weighing the structure of the boat, it's 2.1 tons, 53 feet long. So the bloody thing, like when you put the gas down, it just levels out. You get the full effect of that whole design in the water, having contact with the water, and it just drives. it's seriously a driver's boat. So come out the back here and just make sure you guys can have appreciation of the platform, because this is your toy when you're not on the mothership. This is your support boat to your villa, or it's just your absolute ultimate day boat, because they're a semi-custom builder. You can do as you wish if you have ideas with the layout. So what you see in this is it's this boat, but no two boats are going to be the same. So we have a swim ladder deployable on each side. Absolutely everything that we're looking at is done in carbon. The grab handles to the swim ladder, it's done in carbon. All the cleats, all the rope protectors are surrounded in carbon. That's still aluminium, but it's got a carbon look over the top of it. This base for the rear sunshade, there's a sunshade forward and aft, it's a carbon setup, so we can have a mesh shade over the top of us. We've actually got the breather for the fuel tank. There's 2 fuel tanks on this one. We've got 1,500 litres, and they're filled up underneath these carbon fibre filling points just here. And look at this special way that they finish off. What do you call this finishing? Forged carbon. So it's super cool. The closer you get to the boat, it actually starts to look like a piece of art because of all of these special layers of carbon which have been sort of matted into the surface. I don't know the correct term for it, so you guys can correct me in the comments. But we've got our swim shower just here. We've got all our wiring looms. Because it's a high performance boat, the engines are connected with a torsion bar. But look at the engines. So come and have a look at the detail. So obviously they're Mercuries, but they've all been customized. So we've got carbon fiber down the center line. We've got these custom carbon air intakes. It looks aggressive. It is freaking awesome. So it's, you know, backing up on the dock, you see this immediately, and then your eyes get drawn to the rest of the boat. It's very pleasant. Blokes, you're gonna get what I mean. But it's not just about the blokes, and we're gonna talk about that in a second. So because this is the GT, this is a full sun lounge. So you're gonna get a load of people here. The whole thing is nice, outdoor, comfortable foam. And you could still drive, because of the way this hull behaves, you could still drive at a safe speed with people on this sun lounge. I wouldn't have any dramas about that because the boat's not aggressively wild. Don't do it at 80 miles an hour, but 60 is probably still achievable. Just take your hats off. You have a grab handle just here, and then we have grip tape camouflaged in with the carbon, so you're not gonna lose yourself if you're stepping on from the dock in this location. Underneath me, and we'll get back to this later in the video, there's just an electric switch and 2 electric worm drives that open up this technical hatch underneath this location. However, if you didn't go for the GT, you'd actually have a walkthrough both on starboard and port. So you can imagine this cushion gone here and that cushion gone there. So it then becomes like a central seat and sun lounge. So because it's the GT, you get the wraparound seats just here. And see this? That's for hanging on when you're going super fast. Because you could technically get airborne. However, the hull's just so pleasant, it doesn't have a tendency to do any of that unless you're making mistakes. So come in and have an appreciation. Again, sensible, like so many of you guys are gonna be fans of the old cigarette boats, which are cool, or an old Magnum 63, which is also super cool. Those boats are all totally open, and the number of times when I'm seeing you guys at various marinas around the world and you're with your missus, the first thing she says, yeah, I need shade. And that is what this is all about. Like, it's been aerodynamically designed, and it's pretty much giving us full beam, almost full beam, but then in a supercar styling with this upright holding the whole thing up. The whole thing has been done in carbon. The grab hold on the trailing edge is super nice, and then the support itself is actually hiding some features as well, because you may or may not notice running down the center line, we've got carbon fiber grab holds, ultra strong. The whole thing doesn't move, and we've been really running it through some swells. We've got custom carbon fiber housings for the navigation lights. You'll see more of that as we make our way forward. And then we've even got aggressive styling, but maybe aerodynamic benefit as well, with all of these features here along the roof. And then you've actually got the styling up on the roof, which does actually look cool from the drone. And some of you are probably going to have helicopters of your own. I'm pretty jealous, and therefore you're going to be chasing along a boat like this, I can imagine. So centrally mounted, yeah, well, check out those waves, it's hauling. You can get a gyro on this if you want. However, the form stability is amazingly good considering it's not an overly beamy boat. So this is the ultimate test. That's why I like just doing things in real places as opposed to only at boat shows. So this is a full-on barbecue table entertainment station. I just want to show you this one thing because this is obviously made out of carbon. Okay, so that just hooks up like so. Then these carbon supports pull out here and here, and then we've got our own beautifully cored carbon table, lunch table, where everyone can sit around and properly eat a meal. We've got 6 drink holders, and then if you just wanted to reduce the size, you could do that. You could still run at speed, in my opinion, with it in that location. And then you've actually got your fuel emergency shutoffs. The JL audio speakers are dotted right throughout the boat, but we've got carbon grab holds along the back, and then we've got drink holders, and then more grab holds along the side. But on either side, we have pull-out bins on both port and starboard, and then on the forward edge, we've got a proper fridge. But then if you just lift this up, we've actually got a full-on barbecue sink entertainment station, which we can utilize for cooking up lunch. But do think of this as a semi-custom builder. So if you didn't want to have this in this location, talk to these guys and discuss your ideas, because it would be possible. Don't think of this as the only option for you to utilize. Now, operational perspective, I would totally be happy to drive this boat by myself. We have a bow thruster and then the quad rig, but she's good on transverse thrust. We'll check that out in the next video. But we have 10 cleats, so 5 on either side, all with these carbon rope protectors. So for deploying fenders or securing to a floating berth, depending where you are in the world, it's totally fine. And then if you are going to be utilizing this as a lunching, cooking sort of station, you can actually just undo this, and then push this whole section forward. And see this? This is where your plates can go, your cutlery, and the deep storage for other bits and pieces. Remember, it's the fastest day boat on the water, so you're probably going to be going to restaurants. However, we've got facility for a little bit of cooking, but don't treat it as the full-on lunch-a-lot cook and preparation boat, because why do you need to do that when you could just rip to another restaurant at 65, 70 mile an hour? And on that note, you're going to be comfortable as a guest because we've been testing this today. The wind vortices seem to keep themselves to a sufficient width where the guests on the outside seats can still leave their hat on. So girls, I think on these seats you're going to be fine. I'd want to just test that seat as to whether your hair's going to go in front of your face, but pretty much at most times you're going to be very comfortable from a wind perspective. Girls, you might just need to tie your hair up. Just test that on these outer seats. And then from a safety perspective, it honestly starts at the hull. So the behavior of this hull is such that it's not going to catch an edge and throw you like that at the high speeds. It does everything much more gently than what I am used to of boats of this speed range and capacity. You can obviously, hang on, So you have the option just there. You've got the footrest just here. And as I pointed out before, we've got overhead supports as well. So we have the ability to do everything we need, even if you're just wanting to pull yourself up, because you can do that and then flick that. So if you were transiting from flat water into open water and the boat's starting to bounce through some waves, you might decide it's more comfortable to stand up than sit down, and that's how you would do it. And then we've all got flip up armrests like so, and something to hold on to and pull yourself into the seat. So totally fine for the guests. And then for the driver and navigator, you actually come up a step. So you come up like maybe 3 inches, and then your ability to maintain situational awareness is fantastic. Again, it's because you're not being distracted by things happening around you at high speed, which I prefer not to be distracted. I like to focus on the road ahead and have my hand on the throttle and the wheel and just dial in when I'm going fast. I don't want things rattling. I don't want things that I have to manually operate, and I don't want to be, as much as possible, I don't want to be having to trim all the time. So we don't have trim tabs on this boat. The hull is doing it for us. The engine trim, you can set it in auto and do it manually, but the way this has been set up with the jack plates, I didn't really do any engine trim except for when I hit 80 mile an hour and just got the engines up a little bit more and just punched out some more speed. It's really fascinating. I actually don't fully understand all the hydrodynamics happening in that case, because I'm just not used to a hull on acceleration bedding itself down so immediately, and I think that's something to do with the trim setting. But if you're a naval architect, feel free to add some more into the comments and let's educate us all. But you can see all the carbon finishing, the uprights here, something to hold on to. You absolutely need phone holders like this for the sort of speeds that we are doing. We've got twin displays, big screen, multifunctional displays on either side, and then we have a smaller on the centerline Garmin where we can run all the engine diagnostics just here. Just look at the carbon detail in the engine throttles. Look how good this is. That's just the details. It's what matters, I think, on something like this, and it's noticeable. We've got our bow thruster just here. We have our horn just there. The wheel is incredible, again, as you'd expect, fully done in carbon. We've got the blowers, bilges and lights, which is all very important, on the center line, and we have anchor operation just here, and also stereo operation. I think that's very important on a boat like this. I want to be cranking the tunes. The only thing I wasn't super keen on, which is being changed on the next boat, is the keys on the center line. I'm going to hit that with my legs if I'm not careful. They're aware of that. They're fixing that on the next boat. So onto it already. Drink holders on either side, and then this footrest is sufficient. And again, I wouldn't want some flip down footrest or something that's going to move, because we're going too fast for that. So I just want things to be in a one position where I can lock in and focus. But remember, yes, if you're a bloke, you're going to get excited and want to do these high speeds all the time. You can also just maintain a super comfortable 40 to 50 mile an hour with low fuel burn, and it's going to feel like 30 mile an hour on any other boat. That's the difference. This, apart from looking cool, it's actually air conditioning. So you can pop that up, fire up the 1600 BTU AC and pump that onto you at the helm, because we don't have any natural airflow because of the fixed windscreen just here. But just pay attention. I'll come to this side so you can see the design of the deflector here. So that is sending the wind vortices, and it's all one piece. Just here, that's sending the wind vortices out, and that's why I was able to notice the wind carrying on sort of this direction. And I mean, to be honest, like as I move around during these tests, if it's wrong, it just blows my hat off. So I find out pretty quickly. Now we're going to do this a bit later. I'm going to go to a calmer place to go downstairs and show you. But toilet accommodation and a massive custom carbon fiber hinge. I'm excited to show you that, but let's just keep this moving and stay up on deck. I like some of the GT features in there. I like how they've carried the custom yellow and then carried that over onto the rest of the boat. And you really, like, please take the time and have a look at this if you get the opportunity face to face, and just look at the hull. When you see this thing up close, compared to the pictures, because I obviously was checking out the pictures before I was filming the boat, and then I saw the thing in real life and I was like, crikey, that is so cool. It's just all this carbon custom unique finish is just quite special. So we have aft facing hatch, which is important again for the speeds that we're doing, which allows a little bit of ventilation downstairs. I do think you're going to need the air conditioning if you have any intention of staying on board this boat. Jump in the comments and tell me what you think. I doubt many of you will, because you probably got another boat that you stay on board if you're buying something like this, or a villa, or both. But this is a traditional setup, is what you would expect. At sensible speeds, it would be fine to carry a few guests in this location, but just use your brain. Don't be a wombat. Like, you know, you still got to look after it. Don't go launching out through Haulover Inlet with an outgoing tide at 70 mile an hour. That would be very bad. But other than that, it's very comfortable. The design, your bum actually sinks in here. It all kind of feels quite natural. And your drink holders on the center line makes sense and would be functional from a social perspective. But if you just see this switch here, you may or may not have already noticed, we actually have a retractable table that comes out of the floor, which is super cool. So that's going to pop up, and then we can utilize this whole bow lounge as an evening drinks or secondary sort of food location. So if you've got a bunch of kids on board, for example, they might come up here and have lunch if all the adults are down back. So we do actually have storage underneath all of these seats just here. They will all individually pop up, and that's one of the perfect locations for the fenders. We've got more carbon fiber drink holders, JL audio, big speakers in this location, more up the front. It's going to pump, and I think it's important on a boat like this. These are actually a useful addition, look cool and functionally quite useful. And then the anchor deployment, it's a sensible design, because we're not utilizing retractable bow rollers. We're actually just deploying from the design of the bow, which again, for an ultra high performance boat, I think that makes more sense. I don't want to have heavy moving parts up in the bow. I would rather just send the anchor out from the bow, and it's of a design, a slope angle that the anchor will drop and not hit your bow. So that's kind of important. And a lot of this sort of stuff, it's customizations that can change on every boat. So it's kind of like, if this is not your cup of tea, just do whatever is your cup of tea. Like, that's the idea about a semi-custom boat. And I personally think the yellow suits this boat down to a T, because it is going to be one of those things, people on the beach or people in an anchorage are just going to see this yellow streak ripping across the horizon, kicking up a rooster tail, and that's you going from your place at Monaco down to Saint-Tropez in like 1/4 of the time that everyone else is doing it. So it's kind of fitting, in my opinion. So I think I've covered everything there. Just appreciate the designs and the aerodynamic sort of shape of the windscreen going up onto the roof there. It does make a difference, and it is allowing us to do what we need to do. But from here, we should head downstairs and show you the accommodation. Okay, we move locations just to get out of the waves, but you have to look at this. So I believe the technical name for this is a pantograph, but that is all carbon fiber. So in a lot of boats you'll see on my channel, this hinge structure is going to be made out of stainless steel. So imagine the weight that you're adding to the structure by doing this. So if you feel this, it's incredibly strong, but it's incredibly light. Everything's a one-hand operation, and then even down to the handles, it's all been done in carbon. So then you just come down these offset stairs, And the interior, it's actually huge. So the head height, you've got full stand-up head height as you come through that door, even for big blokes. And then you've still got quite amount of headroom in here. So a lot of space to move around. It's, you know, to be fair, the perfect place to load your guests' bags, because if you can probably have 12 or more people on this boat for the day. So I'd be loading all their bags here, and then phones and other items can be up on deck. However, if you did occasionally want to actually sleep, or more realistically, if your captain of your big boat needed somewhere to sleep, this could make sense. It's perfectly comfortable. We've got some hatches up above, like we have fixed windows and one opening hatch. This space can be heated or air conditioned. I've got storage below the bed just here, and we actually have a proper full stand-up mirror. And then this compartment is beautiful. Come in and have a look. We actually have a proper wet head with a toilet and holding tank, and then look at all, once again, the carbon finishing everywhere. But I think the vanity is probably the most, the centerpiece, the most special part of this. It looks like the whole sink and bench top is one piece of carbon, and it's kind of like been molded in. It's super special. And then you've got all of these storage lockers, so you could actually put individual toiletries bags in all of these, and then you've got heaps of space for all your extra and necessary toiletries down below, and then even a little bin just in here. Extractor fan, towel hooks, courtesy lights. No one's going to see you in here. Those windows are too high to affect anything in terms of a privacy perspective. And then just up on here, you've actually got the heater operation. You can send the air out to the dash, lights, bilge pump, and then evacuate the holding tank. But come with me, let's go up onto the bow and wrap this video in the beautiful Albanian sun. If you haven't been to Albania yet, I would recommend it. This feels like it's a country that's just beginning a summer boom, or it feels like a country on the up and coming. I don't know if that's the right terminology. I don't know if you understand my point, but lots of development going on here. Beautiful waters, incredible mountains. It's just a really nice place and quite affordable. But anyway, who's going to see the most value out of owning a Koshi 51 GT? Remember, it's actually 53 feet LOA. Someone with a very serious boat life, someone most likely who already has a big boat, and your guests want to jump on your toy like this. Say you're staying in the Greek islands, you can spend the night, have breakfast on your big boat, jump on this thing and go island hopping all day long while the big boat transits to the next evening's location. A mission like that, this thing is going to be perfect. Some of my mates I see you in the comments who are living in Monaco, who don't want to deal with the traffic to Saint-Tropez, or just want to get to Saint-Tropez in a really cool way. This would be absolutely perfect. Equally, in Miami, getting around and just doing rip-roaring down to Key West, you would just be in an absolute awesome state in something like this. So any of you thinking of those kind of special mission sets are just going to see an incredible amount of value in having a boat like this. What have I missed? Please jump in the comments. You guys up in Norway ripping around in the fjords, would you go for something this big, or is it too big for your part of the world? Is this more of a Mediterranean sort of option? I personally think it probably is. Any of those people, jump in the comments, let me know what you think. How does it drive, and what should you compare it to? As always, that's actually going to be in the next video. So just click on the link coming up on the screen right now. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. You know, it still helps me, you guys engaging with this channel, to open doors with other factories. So if you want me to test boats, the best thing you can do is get on and engage with the videos, because it really, really helps. See you in the next one. It's going to be a lot of fun.